Hello, hello, hello. Welcome. So great.
Hello.
Hello. Y'all are tuning in for another brand new episode of Thanks.
For nothing.
She kills me. She kills me here. I want to welcome everybody. So if you're tuning in live from LinkedIn, hello. If you're tuning from YouTube, hello. Facebook, all over. You're tuning in from the universe.
All over the place. We are all over the place. Hey, Margaret, how are you? See you
Hello,
there.
everybody. Yes, say hello.
Let
us know.
Hello.
Woo! Let us know. Good morning, Bill. Great to see you. Hello. You guys are all here ready and raring to go. Let's start with this. How is your birthday?
It hasn't stopped.
So
that. Yeah. And I don't think it ever will. You know what? I kind of decided I don't even think I'm going to end it at the end of Leo. I'm not going to end it at the end of this month. Why not just every day?
Every day.
So keep the presents coming.
I just made a TikTok video today where I was wishing everybody a happy birthday because I was just talking about, as we talked about right before we went on air, just like celebrating life and leaps of faith and every moment being right.
Yeah.
Like, and so we don't know.
And you're born in every moment, and now again, and now again, and now again. Right.
I did that on my walk today too. I was like snapping and watching. And it just came to you. I was like, "Oh, look at the tree change. Oh, look at that. Look at that." It was very exciting.
Look at that. Yep. Brand new.
Yes. So everyone that is tuning in today we're going to be talking about our life stories, your life stories. And
did you know that my life was based on it? My story is based on a true story. Based on a true story.
Your life is based on a true story? Like you're not making this up?
Yep. Well, we all are. We all are making it up. But go ahead. I see. This is why I'm like, he didn't interrupt you once last week. He did not interrupt you once.
Not once.
Not once.
I was like, I could get a sentence out. But it's all good. It's all good. Who's here? Oh, great. Ulani says they have no. Okay, well, we're going to get there. So today we're going to be talking about letting go. Denise and I had a conversation yesterday. Just about.
We have a conversation.
See, she doesn't let me do it. We're going to be I'm just going to spit this out. So we're going to be talking about letting go of old stories to make room for new ones today. Because if we're holding on to a story, how is it possible that the things that we want, the creation of what we want, there's no room and space for it? So that's a little bit what we'll touch on, but I'm certain that Denise is going to take us in a completely other direction. So strap in. You could talk. Go ahead. You're done. Hello, wonderful. Hey, Layman, nice to see you. Margaret says, yes, you're either frozen or you're just playing tricks on me.
You can't have it both ways.
Yes, I can.
Or yes, you can. Maybe that's in your story.
I'm a lioness. I can have whatever I want. Ooh. Okay, so yes. So we're talking about that. We're talking about leaps of faith. We're talking about letting go of identity. Is there anything you want to say to the ones that are watching us right now?
I have nothing to say about this show, about nothing. I have nothing. I'm just going to sit here and look cute the whole time.
All right. Well, then in that case, let me look cuter. She's trying to one-up me there with the cuteness. Okay. So before we lose everybody, although how can we?
No.
So recently I was sharing with Denise. Denise and I have been working together along with our favorite friend, Rich, who is not here today, who joined us last week. If you missed that episode, make sure you go back and watch it. We were playing with bubbles.
Yep. All I hear is the story is pop.
Yeah.
Pop the bubbles. Pop. It was a Gymboree song when the kids would go to Gymboree. Pop the bubbles.
Thanks, Robert. Robert says we're both cute. See, we don't have to compete against each other. So you're like, I win every time. Winning.
I don't even try to win. I don't even try.
She doesn't even try to win, folks. It just happens.
Just give me a heads up that we're in competition, though, ahead of time, not after I win and I'm going, what the heck just happened here? Okay.
There's no competition. So today we're talking about letting go of our stories and an identity. And so we've been working together, Denise and I, and just about, the allowing and the creating in every moment and seeing what my ultimate vision is for my life, who I see myself at, who I am. And just a lot of that and the energy around it. And over the last week, I have had to really come face to face with who I thought that I'm supposed to be, or who I was holding on to, and who it is that I really see myself as. And it was and has been an interesting, fun, exciting journey, unlearning, unfolding, recreating. And so just the letting go of the identity of what I thought that I wanted to do, just simply because I've been doing it for so long, as opposed to what it is that I feel really aligned with. So curious for those of you in the audience, if anyone can even relate to that. As
Stop it. Stop it. Stop it.
Okay. Yeah.
No,
Go ahead. Okay. I was just, because you said you weren't talking, so I'm just letting you go. Go ahead.
Okay. Now go ahead.
Yes. No. Go.
So then let me ask you.
Yes.
If you could pick any movie title for your story right now, because that's all we care about. I don't care about your story yesterday, last week, 6 months ago. What would your movie title be right now? And for everybody else, place your movie titles in the comments.
Well, I'm switching now, and I'm going between a joyride, and then also one that I just made up right now, as you said that I saw myself sliding into home base. So just, I don't know if it's sliding in, but just, making a ruckus of this life in a good way.
And when I do ask you what the movie title is, it doesn't mean that your life looks like that movie. We're just going for the title, the essence of the title, the energy of the title, right?
Yeah.
So shifting to a new pathway, this is me. Like, let's kick it up a notch. It could be anything. So let's get off the neutrality. And let's really, like, I'm the magic genie of the universe. And whatever it is that you say your movie title is, are you willing to have those experiences?
But I love my joyride. It's like, yes, the joyride is
trust fund baby. Trust fund baby.
Trust fund baby.
Yes. And it's amazing when you adopt the title, what actually starts to show up.
Mm-hmm.
Because there's a different type of lead character in Trust Fund Baby than there would be in The Matrix or Joyride or
The Outrageously Amazing Adventures of Aliveness.
Yeah. But the thing is, this is where we want you to get really specific, because the more general you are, and it's a really cool title, The Outrageous Amazing Adventures of Aliveness, but your conscious mind doesn't know what to get for that. So what I would suggest that you do right now, and this is not the one title and that's going to be it for the rest of your life, but get something that you could right now design this character that is the lead character in that movie. Because here's the main question. We talked about this in Once Upon a Time a couple weeks back. Does your story have a happy ending? And you may say yes. However, let me tell you if it does or not right here, right now. Let me remind you what that is. You're experiencing it right here, right now. You experienced it yesterday. You experienced the happy ending last week. Because every moment where you are has to be a happy ending for there to be a happy ending.
Right.
You cannot have a happy ending to an unhappy story right now. That I can't say enough. So in the titles, if you're expecting the title to bring, and that's why I disagree with the quote that you put up earlier this week. And I understand in a lower level of reality where that could be a very motivational quote.
Mm-hmm.
But until you stop searching for happiness and searching for joy and searching for abundance and searching for all of those things,
you'll always be searching,
because it's an inside out job. It's hidden within you. And then when you start to give it energy within you, then you push it out, and then you send out that signal, and you're cast your net, and then your net pulls it back to you, because you're always getting the reflection of who you are.
Now I get that. And I'm going to go back to that quote that I didn't post, that somebody else posted.
Yeah.
And the reason why I'm bringing that up is because I don't even remember I think it was Bill who's here. And it was from like a different person who mentioned, I don't even remember, but it was about happiness and seeking it. And then I said, in order for joy. And I said, happiness to me is like micro moments of joy. Like it was like the particles of it, because happiness people see as this big thing that you have to get to. Whereas if you're constantly creating little micro moments of joy, that feels like those little moments of joy are that big happiness. Does that?
Yes,
You're
because
saying it's more of a state of being, like it's just who we are, which I believe that of joy.
yes, and it's because the baseline consciousness that most people are having their jump off point from, it's like there's this ebb and flow of you gotta suffer in order to know happiness, and you gotta feel terrible to know what feeling good is, and it's all bullshit, because that's that old level keeping itself there, saying, well, how many times do you have to touch a hot stove to know not to touch a hot stove? And heck, if you see someone else do it, you don't have to go do it. So when you realize that you, in the letting go of defining this thing or this person or this experience or this number in your bank account, right? Because what you're saying is, I reject this moment because that's going to be so much better.
Mm-hmm.
And when you love this moment for, let's say there's $500 in your bank account, you are living the best $500 bank account moment ever.
Right.
Because when you had $30 or negative 200, 500 would have been such a wonderful, joyous moment. So it's not the moments or the things or the experiences or the people that bring us the stuff. It's what we pushed out. But here's the best part. By the time you're looking at your bank account, it's in the past. It's a reflection of an old you, not who you are in this moment.
I'm hearing some people going like, huh? Not me. And that one, I'm going to say this because I'm curious. What would you say to those people, by those people I mean, who hear what you're saying and are trying to understand that, but might be like, you know what, my physical reality, like people who are basing their happiness, their joy, their well-being off of physical reality, what they can physically see.
I'd ask them, how's that working for you?
Perfect. Yeah.
And I do that a lot in the things when I work with people, because people want to argue for their limitations. They want to argue for the reality that's right in front of them,
Mm-hmm.
but it's only there for a split second. But because the next second looks so much like the one before, it seems like it's really a physical reality, but it's you projected this out. And all it is a chronic expectation that there is time. Time is a construct. Money is a construct. It didn't exist naturally.
So, because as I'm relating this to stories and people holding on to those stories and trying to grasp, maybe find, how is it that I tell a new story when I see this reality? Like, am I just going, oh, I'm not seeing this right now?
So I could give you, think about your closet, and you have so many different clothes in there, right? Mm-hmm. And let's say you wore a dress and it was just the best dinner ever. Do you then, every time you put that dress on, expect to have the best dinner ever?
No.
So yes. What you just asked me was that.
In moments I have, I'm like, this is a good luck dress.
Everything's a template.
Yes.
So we had this conversation yesterday, and this really, back when I was processing all of this helped me a whole lot. I give my characters one day. So every night at bedtime, I surrender that character. And I wake up in the template of the template. So it's because I'm a brand new character. I just got here. I didn't go purchase those clothes. I didn't purchase the bed sheets. I didn't, right? They are there for my disposal to use. I am the god of my template, and they're there for me. That also means, because I didn't go out and purchase anything, I get to use, it's like raiding someone else's closet, which means I have no memories, no expectations of any of the clothes. And that also means, for the current story, I can choose to adopt from the memories that the old versions push forward to me, or I can choose to ignore it all. So up until the 6th of August, there was a schedule that was going on. And then a new character came in and said, I'm not doing anything for a whole week. And I took a vacation. I vacated the old characters' stories. But even in the day, I'm not the one that signed the contracts. I'm not the one that made the promises. I'm not the one, right? It's old versions of me. But
how does that serve people? How does that serve that? Sorry, as you're saying that, knowing this.
Well, it's putting it, so then the knowing of it, again, you can have a PhD in things and never experience them. So now you know that you are now no longer bound by that version of you because she doesn't exist. He doesn't exist.
Right. So that story that we keep telling again and again,
that
we're holding on to, that's not a great story or a limiting story.
And from the vantage point of the person, the avatar you are today, you can look back and say, well, I would not make that choice. And the more that you believe that you're not bound by it, it will disappear. That's where the trust comes in. But if you believe that that's your story and you're tied to the karma of it, because time doesn't exist, there is the eternal now. And in the eternal now, all the storylines merge right here, right now, and you can choose. Now, mind you, when you choose this one for the very first time, you're going up against the old programming. You've been programmed to believe that that's real. And I had this conversation earlier with a client. With all the intelligence in this world at the baseline realities, think about your baseline reality right now. Do you mean, as brilliant as you are, and you know the people in your world to be, that's the best world that can be offered? You've been programmed to believe that's how it is, or that's how we do things here.
What I hear you saying, and I'm curious,
it's radical. It's very radical. It is. Yeah.
Yeah. No, but so I I'm trying to be the middle here, somehow walk the line here, because I know that if there are some things that may not be super clear, whatever. Anyway, so what I'm hearing you say though, is that knowing that each moment you get to choose, that means that each moment you get a new story. Each moment you are that new version of yourself. So even just for me, I don't know another word right now, but the knowing, the embodying of that gives me, is exciting.
Yes. Think if you've ever left a job and that very next day, maybe it was a Friday. So really the very first Monday that you would have gotten up and normally gone to that job. Now, unless you have something else to jump to, you don't know who you are because you were defined by that story. But there's part of you that no matter which brand new character I am every day, there are certain parts of me that are going to be consistent through those characters.
Yeah. The parts that we love. So it's like taking the parts that we love that we want to bring into each one.
And you don't even have to pick them. They just come every morning.
Right.
But here's the thing. When you give more attention to an old storyline, you are giving it reality. It doesn't exist without you infusing your energy, whether it be action or thought or identity. So when you pick a new storyline, you have to give it more identity. You have to give it more of your focus, and it will become your new reality. That's why the 12-week roadmap, right? Whether it's something mentally, or if I've designed a nutrition program for someone, or someone comes to me and says, Denise, I want to compete in bodybuilding on stage. All I need is 12 to 16 weeks. 12 to 16 weeks, and what level of commitment are they willing to give? And I can show them what the results will be. Because here's the neat thing about these roadmaps. They follow a certain pattern, and it's only through doing this with thousands of people that I got to realize this. The first month we're activating, the second month you're aligning, which means that you don't have to do the repetitive behavior as much. And then anchoring, it's no longer something that you had to do repetitively, something you had to remind yourself in the now moment of. It's just who you are. And when you need to see the physical reality to feel rich, that you need to see the money in the bank account, or the cars in the driveway, or the house that you're living in, your current character right now, I want you all to take a hard look. Where you are till this point, this is where they get you. They're not going to get you any further. You're going to have to consciously choose a new character and let old stories go.
Yep. Yes.
And trust. And trust.
Trust. Yes.
Because that which belongs to you in the new story has already shown you that it can't show up with those old characters, or else it would be here. It's very intellectual, very logical, very practical. Your characters that you've been playing have gotten you this.
Right. So if you're someone watching right now that feels that you want that change, like you're not maybe unhappy, you're not satisfied with where you are right now, it's because that's something that you've created. So why not? I remember having this moment, Denise, like years ago, thinking what you just said right now about, if I don't like where I'm at and I want that to change, and nothing makes logic. I remember thinking like, it doesn't make sense to think this way because I don't see any of it. But I remember thinking, but this where you are doesn't feel good. So wouldn't I be willing to take that leap of faith, to just believe, to just try, I remember having that moment.
And people say to me all the time, so wait, Denise, this is what you're telling me, that if I go into this imaginal state and I feel the fulfillment in the imagination, but it doesn't show up, that's enough. And then aren't I really saying that I don't need the thing? And I'm like, yes, because the fact that you need it, the fact that you want it, and you're denying the now moment because it's not there, because your now moment was once your outcome that you desired.
Yes.
Right? When you weren't in the job or the business you were in, you desired where you are now. And now that it's not giving you the results that you want, it's no longer desired, something else. And you'll always be going after that something else, and you'll never receive fulfillment. So fulfillment is an inside out job that when you don't need it anymore, because you feel there's something I was explaining to Shari in my meditations this past week. I went beyond belief. I don't have to get up in the morning and effort to be female, whether it's in my actions or how my body looks. This is who I am. That's what fulfillment is. So when you can take something like that in your life, that it's a no-brainer, no effort, this is who you are, and put that same energy on all of the outcomes that you've been desiring, you don't need them anymore. You are aligning and anchoring that it is who you are, and you don't need the actual thing. You don't need to prove it to yourself. You don't need to prove, because you feel it to your core. That's powerful.
Yeah.
It's powerful.
Yeah. What do you say to people who perhaps have like physical ailments? I already know what you're going to say, but I'm just going to ask it anyway. That want, because I know a lot of people that have this desired outcome for their lives. They see like all these things that they want, but they feel that their physical holds them back from being able to.
Well, that's a wonderful story they're telling themselves. And I'm not going to get in the way to anybody to argue with their limitations. Keep in that story, because as you speak, you are giving yourself the narrative. You're writing the script. So as you speak, so you shall encounter. That's why there's a thrillness in stillness. You can move around this world not thinking and speaking, and it takes you to a very, we call it resting as awareness, very neutral zone. That it's not even about speaking the new reality into existence. Just stop thinking and speaking of the old one.
Mm-hmm.
Let it show itself. And this is the thing, when people say there's something important and they're calling me and they're calling me and they're texting me and they're texting me, but it's not important for them to get themselves in front of me because you know where I am, then it really isn't that important. So for example, when I'm sitting at home and I'm craving a food, and literally I could walk 15-minute walk to the main supermarket, I could get in a car and drive in 2 or 3 minutes. And as I'm sitting here and I'm going, do I really want it that bad?
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes I get in the car, I'll go for a walk. And sometimes no. So how much aligned to that you really need that thing that you think that you need? What are you willing to actually put in front of you? Well, those things that say that it needs your attention, let it get in front of you. Let it get in front of you. If it's really that important, let them come seek you out, because in that time frame between now and that moment, out of sight, out of mind, we've heard that's what this means. If you don't mind, it doesn't matter. Meaning, if you don't give it your mind, you don't give it your energy, you don't give it your thoughts, it will not come into matter.
That's been the greatest discovery lately, because when we started talking, really I was dealing with the reality, the version of me that has all these back issues and everything like that. And I bring this up because I know that there are a few people watching right now who have physical ailments, which is why I'm talking about this. Because,
Well,
but let me just finish for 1 second. That
no.
I stopped. I'm sharing that what you're saying, what you give your attention to. So there's this in between, there's a jumping point, Denise, is what I'm saying. So to go from like, I have it to, and I know that there is, because like we talked about the flip pages and the arm, and you can go from the first to the 60-second. But I stopped giving my attention to it, my story, and my focus on my back. And I have been doing so much more.
And how about this? Instead of the old dialogue, because you know what the old dialogue sounds like, you just walk around all day going, wow, it feels amazing to be in this body. And how is it my body serves me so well?
Yeah.
And wow, things just happen with ease. Like if you're going to have to speak, you don't have to tell it like it is. And here's the best part. When the world around
you don't have to tell it like it is. Everybody write that down. You don't have to tell it like it is.
You don't have to tell it like it is. Who said that? Well, this is not, you haven't sworn an oath. You have the right to remain, or I swear to tell the whole truth, but whose truth is the true truth? Which character? Right? So the moment the old character goes up and is complaining about the back, that's the best time, because it just identified itself through your voice. And you can easily go onto the other side of the coin and start going, no, wait a minute. Oh, look, I can bend down with ease. Oh, look, I can raise my arms. Oh, look, I can swirl around.
Absolutely. Well, and that's what powerful you said, whose reality it is, and not even just our own. Like, I think that's a perfect example. And we've probably talked about it before, but two different people who are living in a reality and witnessing and experiencing two completely different things. And if two people can have that, then that means that means that we personally, like, the reality that we're seeing in one version, there could be a totally different one where that doesn't exist.
It's the same. If there's a little fender bender on the corner and there's 5 people standing on the corner, there's going to be 5 different accounts of what happened. And they're all correct.
Right.
They are all correct.
Right. So if someone's saying, like, how can I tell a different story when these are the facts? And it's like, well, you could also flip that coin around and do everything that you just said about even your body. My body works great.
So we talked about this yesterday. One of the things that made me stand out so quickly and have such a high closure rate of my investigative cases is that we were taught to go into investigations to see what was wrong, right? And figure out, whoa, this was wrong. I would go in, and many of the times I really didn't have the knowledge of what it was I was investigating. Right. So we always called it fact finding. We go in and fact find first. And I always wanted to know, on a normal day, what should be happening, who plays what role, what should be happening from the moment that they walk in the door until they leave to go home at night. What should be happening? Because when you're going, you kind of have a general idea of what did or didn't happen. So now as you're learning what should be happening. So in your story, here's this beautiful day. What should be happening for your new character?
Right.
Because that's where you're putting your focus on. What should be happening for them? And the thing is, and this is so important, and this has been tested by Princeton and some of the one out in California, the fancy one. I can't think of the name of the college out there, but one of those fancy colleges in California.
Well, Stanford.
Stanford, thank you. There we go. We got it at the same time. We're almost twinsies.
Almost.
But they took high-end athletes, and they did this once with marathon runners, and they had the marathon runners go run a marathon, and they put all the little bells and whistle thingies on them, and it tracked all of the little graph stuff that, this is heart rate and breathing and blah, 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 and blood oxygen. And then they had the marathoners sit down, put all the bells and whistles on them again, and told them to envision the thing over. And they were virtually the same. Small, tiny differences. So whether you are actually receiving the call that you have a trust fund coming to you, or you pick up the phone and you act as if you're on that phone call, meaning that if somebody walked into the room, they wouldn't know the difference between the real phone call and the made up one.
Yeah.
You are now activating and aligning with that character. How you know you're anchored in is when the physical reality shows up. But
Oh, go ahead.
I mean, if you go and you spend $10,000 every day, go save things in baskets on websites. Imagine yourself at a store handing over your credit card. Go, you want 3 cars? Go buy 3 cars.
Yeah.
Because and I can't say this enough, your actual subconscious mind does not care. You're making it up. It is the same. And
everyone should really hear that. Have fun.
Yeah, it must bring you more of the equivalent of that money to spend. That's all of a real physical transaction does. It affirms the character.
Yeah. Because our physical minds only want to believe what we see.
Yeah.
Like, and so if we don't see it, we think it's not there. And this study and everything else, I remember watching, when I was going to be speaking at this wellness event, I was researching Tom Brady because it was a sporting event, and Tom Brady did the same thing with the visualizations and, you know, being a better quarterback and everything, not actually doing it physically. I mean, he did both, but
when you start doing this and you start to see the results, because you and I can sit here on the screen and talk about it over and over and over again. And if you don't believe it, have fun with the characters you're in. Right. Because they have such a strong grip on you, they're going to make you believe that this doesn't work. So you have to give yourself the experience about it, right?
Yeah.
I always say, do not believe a thing I ever say, but please have fun with the things that we're talking about. So what I used to do, we all have old checkbooks where, you know.
But I want to really quickly share Angela's movie title, because I was at.
Oh, yes, go ahead.
Story title. My book is Evolution Revolution.
Okay. And again, I'm going to say that's too vague. It sounds really cute, but what the hell does that mean?
And she means that in the most loving way.
But
no, I don't.
That's the whole thing, because our mind throws it, and very rarely should we accept the first thing that comes from our mind, because it's always the baseline character offering that.
So share again for those who are joining right now, what the title should.
The title should be very specific.
So your title again is
Trust Fund Baby.
Mine's Joyride.
Yeah. And I have the details, because then you can go in and put the details.
Yeah.
And then you can create different ways of trust funds. So a trust fund could be an inheritance from a family member that you know, one that you never knew existed, or it could be you winning the lottery and you creating your own trust. It could be, so it doesn't have to be something part of the old story.
I know, Angela, she didn't hear part of it. That's why I was just having her share again what that was.
Well, that's why I come in, because the thing that I learned as a closer, I might only have 20, 30 seconds of your attention, and I got to come in strong. Because
you think Denise comes in strong?
I want everybody to start playing with this, because this is what, episode 9. If your life hasn't changed and you've been coming here every week, you're getting the intellectual, practical understanding of it. But now go and do this thing. So what I used to do, and actually I do, because there's so many different techniques that I love playing with. So one is, I'll take an old checkbook that no longer is open. You can use one that isn't, still is open. And I'll write checks, like to the dealership, and I'll put it in an envelope. And when I'm about town, I'll drop it in the mailbox. And sometimes if I'm a little further out, but I mail it back to myself. And I make note of what day I send it, and then when it comes back to me. And I have this pile of confirmation, because that's the first confirmation of that. Sometimes it's not, sometimes things come in prior, but if I want physical proof that here's the confirmation of that, I know what's in there. And I put the name of the company, but I put my address back, because then I have another thing going on. So if I just bought a BMW and it came to the BMW, But I also have another thing of checks in the mail. I always get checks in the mail. Well, it's two birds, one stone.
Mm-hmm.
And if
So
you
you're
go
getting
to the
an actual check in
mailbox,
the mail.
and if you go to the mailbox and expect checks in the mail, whether it's the actual check or a confirmation of it, then you get checks in the mail. You get what you play with. You get what you do. And everybody should be going, oh my God, is it really that? Yeah, it is. And because these checks in the mail are not for $5 and little refunds here and little refunds there, they're $70,000 checks. They're $100,000 checks.
I got $1 million check for a TV show.
And you just play with it. You have so much fun. Another thing that Kervin and I do is we write each other a check for $10,000, and then we hide it in the house and we play hot cold. And each day you're allowed one clue.
I love that. I want to play.
and whoever finds their first, they have a list that the other person is like their slave for the day.
So fun to find money.
So much fun, because when you're looking for where's that $10,000? Where did I put that $10,000?
Like, you know it's there,
and you know it's there.
Right.
It's there, right?
Right.
Guess what? You start finding $500 that you put in your drawer that you. I swear, the money that I find in the drawer, my baseline character was not the character who put it there. She has no memory of it.
Yeah.
But it appears out of thin air.
Out of thin air. Well, every time I blow a bubble, there's $100,000 in this bubble.
So blow some bubbles.
I have been, and my cats are loving it. Oof,
Yeah.
You just got hit in the head with a bubble. You just got money. You got smacked upside the head with money. $100,000, baby. So what are y'all thinking out there?
So I'll add something else. Okay, what title song is your life right now? And are you joyously happy? Somebody came to me one time and said, it must take so much energy to be you. And the answer is no. It takes much more energy to be you moaning and groaning and complaining and saying this, why isn't this work? That takes so much more energy.
It really does.
Playing like a kid.
You're so right.
And in your childhood, you were taken care of. You didn't have to pay bills. You didn't have to look at the clock, and right, most of the time you were being told time's up, time to go. Here we go. Here you go. Yeah.
The only thing you had to decide is what you were going to go play with, or who you were going to go play with.
And every day you should do at least one thing, one leap of faith that makes your heart feel like it's going to come out of your chest, which means really what it is an act of defiance to your old reality and to your old characters. Because like we said earlier, that some of it is going to come in and it's just who you are. But when you're doing that new thing and the old character has a whole lot of reasons why you shouldn't do that thing. And you realize you're the only one in your bubble, but the bubble has the programming that you believe other people have taught you. But when you look at most of the rules and laws and guidelines, the majority of the people themselves are not following them.
Yeah.
But they expect you to.
Yeah.
Honestly, in my world, there are no laws, because when you are an authentic, self-actualized person, you don't not do something because of fear of punishment. You don't do it because it's not who you are. And the majority of the things that you don't do isn't because there's some law on the book somewhere.
Oops, didn't mean to cut up your face.
Yeah. Yes, you did.
I'm perfectly.
I'm like Wilson. Hello.
I'm just going to keep that there the whole time. Margaret says, say more about active faith, like playing with sending money or.
So what I would suggest first is you go into your old characters and find a moment that you really were in faith and your outcome not only came for you, but it came bigger. Because first you have to prove to yourself that it has happened to you before, your characters. But when you realize that none of us know what the hell we're doing, and all we're doing is the best we can in the now moments, right? And please don't take life seriously. You are think about it this way. You're in a movie, and the movie that is projected, or the TV show that's projected, is the program. That's why we call TV programs, right? I remember my grandmama used to watch her program on the TV. Oh, I got to watch my program. My program's on. My program's up.
I might still say that.
Right? But when you turn the TV off or you stop the projector of the movie, the screen is blank. You, the real you, is the blank screen, and you project your programming and you project it out here. So this is the projector right here. Your body, your mind is projecting out the episode that you are subscribed to today. And just like there are no consecutive events, if you played the lottery last night and 234 came out, the 3-digit lottery, 0 to 9, 0 to 9, 0 to 9. So 10 times 10 times 10 is a 1 in 1,000 chance that 234 could come out. And you're going to go play it today, but you decide to pick a different number because 234 came out yesterday. You're giving causality to that number when it has the same opportunity to come out today. But if you believe that it can't, then do not play 234 because you will get your reality. That's what you project. And when you realize that all moments are like that, but there are probabilities based on the character that you're in.
So what is the act of faith?
Is going into a new character and letting build up the feel, build up the reality. How you know that you're building up the reality, you can feel something in your body, a tingle, some kind of makes you catch your breath, right? Like, you know, those moments in life where you're just like, I can't believe this is happening, right? To build up that reality, make it feel real so that, and just like everything, when you move into a new home, it's exciting, but after a month or two, it becomes, you've acclimated, you've anchored in, it's your home. It's not that big, woo. Nothing went wrong, nothing changed. It's just now part of your story. So in the beginning, the faith is that the feeling is enough.
Right.
Because, and so here's the thing that I will tell you, and this will happen. If you have $500 in your bank account now, and you are doing this for $100,000 in your bank account, and you wake up tomorrow and there's $100,000 in your bank account, your old character would call and say, there's been an error. Don't do that. Give yourself time to acclimate into and let the story come. You just don't know what it is yet. Even if you go in and you sign on and you try to look for the transaction, because in that world, that could have been your ongoing rolling number. It's not like it was just one deposit that was in there, or it could be just one deposit came in. You got to, so when it shows up, the moment you start questioning it, or this can't be right, just let it be. That's what the let it be is. Let it be. Let yourself acclimate to the new character, because the story, the backstory will reveal itself. You don't have to have the backstory ahead of time.
But that 100,000 or whatever it is that you want is not going to show up if you are not letting go of the old story that says that you can't have it, that those things don't happen, because then those things will never happen. So for anyone that might be thinking, oh, sounds, I'm just going to say, this sounds crazy or radical, that's the story that you're continually telling. And when you continue to tell that, it never will show.
And if you want more information on this, a really good author, Neville Goddard, Google Neville Goddard and revision. You can take an old piece of your story and revise it to a different outcome. So I can't say that enough. Neville Goddard revision is, there's no need for me to write a book about it. He's written many, 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 many books about it.
Yeah. But
it's taking what those, and he was talking back in the 1950s and the 1930s and the 1940s. So this, if we're going to use time, let's use it to serve us. This has been around for a really, really long time. And you are not bound by the story. Yeah. So here's the thing. You've heard of them. Then why haven't you been doing the practices? Because that's, again, we're intellectual collectors of knowledge, but now we want you to be experience collectors.
Yeah. And it's different, because I've been a collector of knowledge forever, and now I'm spinning and blowing bubbles and creating all this energy, like all of these.
And all you're doing is saying to your subconscious mind, look at me, I'm a different character, and I'm willing to make this commitment. So in my group, at 2 p.m. Eastern time today, we're going to be talking about anchoring, and we're going to be talking about the spinning and what that does in order for you to bring a new character in, and how it speaks. Your current conscious mind makes the decision to do it. Every hour you remain conscious.
Yeah.
And all I'm in is a template. This is just a template. Because the moment that an envelope would show up and say, you've just won Publishers Clearinghouse, here's $5 million, I'm still in this very same template that I was 5 minutes prior to it happening.
Mm-hmm.
So you can't, so I look around this template has so much, this house has changed so much. Even the room that I'm in looks so different than it did 2 months ago, let alone 3 years ago.
Yeah.
But I knew when I moved in here, it was only temporary. But it served me in ways. And the moment that I walked in these doors, because Kervin and I had looked at some other houses, we took one step in, we looked around and we went, this is it. Mm-hmm. So it was just icing on the cake to walk around the rest of the house and see, because then everything was like, and this, and wow. We just kept saying, wow, like chills, yeah. Right? But we knew it the moment that we walked in the door.
Because you had already created that.
Yeah. And technically it was a little bit financially out of our reach. That's why it didn't come into our periphery until the person showing said, I have something for you. It's a little bit higher, but I think it's really what you're looking for when you describe. So we actually came over here. It was a mile from the gym. We came over, we were working out, we stopped, we came over, and we're like, well, let's just see what $300 a month more would get us. Because we were just like, okay, if it's out of our range. And the second we went in here, I just knew it was done.
Yeah.
Just knew it was done.
Yeah.
And now it's just like, we laugh at that amount. Yeah. We laugh.
It's so silly. Those of you that are watching, if there's anybody that wants to revise your title of your story,
yeah,
share it with us.
Pick a song, pick a movie, but get really specific. Really specific.
What?
Really, really specific. And here's the thing that I've learned. When the reality that you've been creating within you becomes the reality outside of you, everybody in that reality doesn't remember your old reality. So when back in one of my old stories, when my character lost 80 pounds in 7 months, all on her own through this kind of process, when I show people my before picture, they're like, in my world, you were never that big. You didn't look like that in my world.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I got that.
Or other people who met me years after, they're like, I never remember you that way. Like, I don't remember you at all. And how is it interesting that all the pictures of me disappeared? So any evidence of it disappeared other than the ones that I have.
I remember the first time you told me that happened when I would say to my friends, like back in high school, where I was like, how come you never told me that, like, that I was that overweight? Like, why didn't, and they're like, we never saw you that way. And it wasn't until like I showed them a picture, I'm like, you didn't see that. So I haven't gotten to the point where they've disappeared, but in that moment, they were like, we never saw that.
And they're not saying that to be nice to you. Right. They're saying that because that's what their reality was. Another thing, if you've never heard of the Mandela effect, right? Nelson Mandela effect. Take a look and look at that. That's exactly what this is there's different levels of reality. And even though it looks like people are on the same reality of you, they will match your new reality.
Yes. And there's been evidence where people have been ahead, I would say ahead of my reality of like where I want to go, but haven't arrived, like people thinking things or seeing things of me that just that aren't there. Yeah, in physical manifestation.
One other thing I wanted to share that we did yesterday, if you've ever been like sitting on the couch watching TV or doing something, and all of a sudden you're like, you know what, I need to go get a bottle of water out of the fridge. And you walk into the kitchen, maybe it's 10, 15 feet away, if that. And by the time you get there, you're like, why am I here? What did I come in here for? You've gone to that's a sign of a new level of reality, because when you go up in a reality, what was important down here isn't important anymore. That's proof of stepping into a new character that looks exactly like the one that you just were. And if you stay there long enough, you can take yourself back down and remember
I
why.
said, I just thought I was losing my mind. Like I'm getting
No,
older. I'm like, that's what I was
nothing.
blaming on yesterday when she told me this. I'm like, really?
What we're actually, the best way to describe this is if you've ever been around someone as they've gotten older and they either have dementia or in some realities it's called Alzheimer, whatever it's called, where they're physically in this world, but they're losing the memory. We're telling you to induce that on purpose. If it wouldn't belong in your new reality, it's none of your business.
The things that no longer serve us from our old reality, we do not need to.
They're valid. That character, that version of you. That's why now you can say, I'm no longer her or him.
Yeah.
That version of them, that was a very real thing for them. But that's I'm right here, right now. I just got here, when I opened my eyes this morning.
Yeah.
And I feel amazing. So you can say, I've never gotten sick because since this morning, you just got here. You feel amazingly healthy. I have a nice, strong body. I don't know about the other characters.
Yeah. I eat really healthy.
Yeah. And it makes it easier for the tomorrow's character to show up and repeat that. And a month from now, that character is showing up and repeating that because now you're a trailblazer.
Yeah. It really is about all of the stories that we just continue to tell. Like if you're going to choose a story to tell over and over and over again, tell the one that serves you, tell the one that lifts you, tell the one that feels better, right? Tell the one that propels you.
And there are more people like me than you realize that when you tell your story, we're just generally happy for you. We don't need the proof. We don't need you to show the bank account, right? We don't need you to show whatever it is. If you say that you have a rainbow tail coming out of the back, then I'm going to look at that tail and I'm going to tell you it's the most beautiful tail because I know the more I affirm you, I'm affirming my own reality because you are a creation in my reality if you put yourself in front of me. And that's what magic is.
Yeah.
And we use the others not to holler at the reality, but to confirm, I want more of that. So if something shows up in the supermarket and it walks by in my periphery, it's just like a car driving by, just let it be. Because the very fact that it didn't seek me out, it's none of my business. Let it go. It's allowed to be. Mm-hmm. And the more you allow it to be, to each their own reality, it no longer shows up in yours. And the best part is the funny and creative ways, certain things just disappear, but other things bow out gracefully. And you get to see as they pull away from you how they do it. And it's so much fun to watch.
Like, it's fun to watch things leave. I think this whole concept of everything and not concept, it's, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm still figuring my words out.
Yep.
Yeah. Of creating everything, of being the creator, of noticing, like just the awareness of that all just makes life in itself more playful and fun.
And when you realize you've been doing it, but you've been doing it unconsciously because you believe in the story that you were given. Yes. Right. So it's an act of rebellion that you'll take the things that you love. You'll just now add your stuff. And I don't care if someone shows up in my face, spitting mad saying, no, you're not. That's not who you are. Don't you dare say that. I've had that happen. Mm-hmm. They're allowed to be upset. They're allowed, but I know who I am. So you remember yourself every day from your old story. Now we're asking you to remember yourself from a different level story. Because the amazing you is going to be there. Yeah. And this is how, if you've always wanted to be a classical piano player and you've really took lessons maybe a couple years when you were a kid, if you start telling the story that you are a concert classical trained pianist, or even if you pick up another instrument that you've never played before, but you envision, you can see someone who's played that instrument and you put yourself in their position, that will come without all the years of practice. I put on tap shoes and it was like, I joked initially and said, oh my God, these shoes are possessed. And I just started tapping and I'm going, what the heck's happening here?
I'm a professional tap dancer.
Yeah. It doesn't mean I'm ever going to go on stage, but I do throw on my shoes and go into the gym and tap my little heart out. Because the thing that I've seen, every video or in-person thing of someone tap dancing, they're always smiling. Yeah. It's really hard to tap dance and be miserable.
I took tap for years growing up.
Yeah. It was the best. You can't.
Yeah.
So if that's one of my things, that if I'm too much in my head and I'm going, rah, 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 I go in and I put my tap shoes on.
Yeah.
And even when I'm tying them up, I'm going, this rope. No.
And if you're having fun, like really you can convince anyone of anything, to be honest. Like I've convinced people that I'm really funny. I've convinced people that I'm like, but just in the belief and the fun of
Well, you
that.
haven't convinced them. You created that experience to make you think that you've convinced them, but they loved you and adored you. And
Yeah.
even those creations that show up and give you contrast and point their finger at you, you created them. So give them the Academy Award for being the most grumpiest. You win the award for the most grumpiest person in this reality.
Yeah.
Congratulations. Yeah.
I love it. Everyone gets an award. You get an award and you get an award.
Yeah. Yeah.
Something really powerful before we end today, something really powerful that happened yesterday, just in it as an example of new stories we tell ourselves is, you know, I'm in this full momentum right now of creating this, my show, not this show, you know, my show. Anyway, yesterday, one of my YouTube shorts, which is like TikTok and Instagram reels, they're like the YouTube. I've put them on there and nothing ever happens. Yesterday, one of them started being seen and I got like my first troll, the person that just wants to say. And in the past, an old version of me would have been like, that was the one that stuck out. And what did I do? And this was like, oh, I'm becoming famous already. Like that was the instant, but that was the new, and I'm just saying, because that was the new story that's the version of me that I'm in now.
Yeah.
And
then from there, because it may not have been a big mind jump that you could go into a world where trolls don't exist.
Right.
But now, and that there's nothing wrong with doing it jumping, you know, a little bit here, a little bit here. But eventually when you really become a powerful conscious manifester within the next 12 weeks.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. No, I see it. Yes.
Yeah.
And this example that you gave yesterday about the flipping of the character, that was like powerful. We should talk about that another time. Of like being able to jump from, you know, a page to another page.
Yeah, we'll talk about that.
Okay. So Denise, tell everybody again about your Facebook group and what's coming up today.
If you're not part of the Invincible CEO Circle, there we go, a circle again. It's a bubble. It's a bubble. The Invincible CEO Circle, every Wednesday at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We have another topic where this is our third session, and the other two are in the group for your viewing pleasure. That is the only place that you will find these videos. You won't find them on YouTube. There is an Invincible CEO channel on YouTube, and also the invincibleceo.com. Lots of great information all over the place.
Awesome. And for y'all, go follow me over on TikTok. We're building my channel over there. Got some exciting people watching it right now. So make sure you go connect with me over there.
And every time I hear TikTok, you don't stop.
Rosie O'Donnell does it at the end of every one of her TikToks.
That's it.
Not as cool as that, but she just goes, TikTok, you don't stop.
Right?
That's it.
Bang, bang, the boogie. Oh, Joe. I'm in Rapper's Delight now. You got me rapping. No, we don't want me rapping. Rapper's Delight, though. What you hear is not
a test. I'm a rapping to the beat. Okay, bye, everyone. We'll see you next Wednesday. Thank you all for joining us. We're rappers.